Is the OMaju Smart Indoor Bike the right fit for you? Or should you skip it and keep your cardio routine on the pavement or a cheaper step up? Who's actually going to get the most out of that silent spinning experience? And does the price make sense for the average home gym enthusiast? Those are the three questions I hear most often when people stare at a bike like this on a screen, wondering whether it will actually move the needle on their fitness goals. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I spent a few evenings unboxing the OMaju, plugging it into my Wi-Fi, and riding through a couple of on-demand classes while I compared notes with a handful of friends who own similar machines. The idea behind a silent bike is tempting, especially if you live in an apartment, have kids doing homework, or just don't want the whir of a chain driving you nuts. The OMaju promises magnetic resistance that you can dial up or down without the clank of a traditional flywheel. In practice, that means you can start a warm-up at a low level and sprint at a higher setting without any sudden squeaks that would send a neighbor calling the building manager. First, let's talk about who will actually benefit from this setup. If you're a busy professional who wants to squeeze a 20-minute cardio session into a lunch break, the compact footprint, about 112 centimeters long, 52 centimeters wide, and 118 centimeters tall, fits nicely against a wall or under a desk. The bike folds flat enough that you can slide it into a closet when you're done, which is a real advantage over bulkier trainers that demand a permanent corner. For people who thrive on data, the built-in console pairs with a phone app showing cadence, heart rate, if you wear a chest strap, and calories burned. That connectivity lets you track progress over weeks without having to write anything down. If you already subscribe to a streaming fitness platform, the bike's Bluetooth sync lets the app automatically log your ride, saving you the hassle of manual entry. Now, on the flip side, who should walk away? If you're an avid cyclist who expects a road bike feel steep gradients, a heavy flywheel that simulates real hill climbs, this magnetic system may feel a bit too soft. The resistance steps are smooth, which is great for beginners, but serious riders often crave that gritty feel of a chain-driven bike that can be cranked up to 20 or more levels of resistance. Also, if you have a very low ceiling, the 118 centimeters height might be a limiting factor once you're standing on the pedals for a high-intensity interval. Lastly, the price point sits in the mid-range market. If your budget is tighter, you might get a more robust machine with a heavier build for a similar outlay from a different brand. When it comes to day-to-day use, the OMaju shines in a few practical ways. The magnetic brake system stays quiet even when you crank out a sprint, which makes it feasible to run a session while a toddler naps in the next room. The resistance knob is located on the left handle, reachable without breaking your posture, and it clicks into place at each increment, so you can feel the change without glancing down. I tried a 30-minute HIIT class that called for rapid shifts between low and high resistance, and the bike responded instantly, no lag, no sudden jumps that would throw off the rhythm. On the usability front, the bike arrives in a fairly compact box, and the assembly is straightforward. A few bolts, a quick-release seat post, and a pre-wired cable that slides into the console. I was able to get it up and running in under 20 minutes, which is a relief compared to some competitors that require a wrench set and a printed manual you have to decipher. The seat and handlebars are adjustable, but you'll want to spend a couple of minutes fine-tuning them before you start a serious workout. The seat slides forward and backward and can be raised or lowered with a quick-release lever, while the handlebars tilt slightly for a more comfortable grip during longer rides. One hidden trade-off I discovered after a week of regular use is the pedal design. The bike comes with standard dual-sided pedals, one side flat, the other with a toe clip. If you're used to clipless pedals that lock your shoes in place, you'll have to buy an adapter or replace them if you want that secure connection. For casual riders, the flat side works fine, but if you're training for a race, you might feel a bit of a disconnect because you can't pull on the pedals during a climb. Another point worth mentioning is the weight capacity. While the spec sheet doesn't call it out explicitly, the frame feels sturdy enough for riders up to around 120 kilograms, 265 pounds. The base is a rubberized footplate that prevents the bike from sliding on hardwood floors. But if you're on a carpeted surface, you might notice a slight wobble when you stand up on the pedals for a sprint. Adding a small piece of plywood under the base solves that problem, but